Swallowed Ster episode 946. Game over. Translator, Weibo Studio Editor, Weibo Studio. Whenever the number of people exceeded 10,000, it would feel as though there was a sea of people. And yet close to 10,000 great beings of various clans from the universe boat had gathered in the life and death corridor. At first glance, it was, indeed, a dense crowd, and at that moment, all of them were in a heated discussion. After the human Milky Way horde leader and Blue Blood, the next to pass the second bottleneck was, unexpectedly, Water Song Master. This is an inconspicuous universe master from the second reincarnation era has managed to catch up with the progress. Water Song has extraordinary potential. The first reincarnation era and the two Holy Lands must be going crazy with rage. Especially the first reincarnation era. It would be weird if they did not go mad with rage. Ranked first three are from the Primal Universe, East Emperor Holy Land Universe, and the second reincarnation era, respectively. There might be the most candidates from the first reincarnation era, yet none have made it to the top three. The various clans were gasping with admiration. Done. The Wolfang was smiling as he stood before the crystal pillar. Just a while ago, he had perfectly decoded the 3000th endgame within that crystal pillar, the moment he had successfully decoded that stage. The Wolfang raised his head to look far away. Wandong River should be showing up any moment. Countless cyan light spots were consolidating in the air. The temperature of the surroundings plunged, which faintly caused everyone's souls to feel a freezing sensation, sending violent shudders to course through every great being present. All raised their heads to look, and what they could see in midair were countless cyan light spots that looked like snowflakes falling. What's wrong? Something big is going to happen. These countless cyan light spots that resembled snowflakes suddenly surged towards the Wolfang in a frenzy. Long. The ground behind the Wolfang suddenly split apart, and another crystal pillar appeared. At that moment, the Wolfang had three towering crystal pillars surrounding him, and the countless cyan light spots rapidly consolidated to form another palace that enshrouded him. Golden, red, and cyan, a tricolored palace that was dazzling beyond comparison. At that moment, the Wolfang was like a king of an army of close to 10,000 great beings of the universe ocean. What? No. Seventh true master of Divine Night Clan let out a furious roar right away, his eyes filled with panic. The chance of transcending reincarnation belongs to my Divine Night Clan. It belongs to my Divine Night Clan. Ah, detestable, I condemn you. This. An entrenched giant beast from the first reincarnation era cried tears of anguish as it let out a sorrowful roar. Are you bent on exterminating my entire Yan beast? Even our very last chance? You must deprive us of it? I can't bear to see this, I can't take it lying down. Desperation. All the great beings of the first reincarnation era were practically in despair. They were the majority of all the candidates present, and also the ones who desperately wanted to receive the inheritance because their doomsday was drawing near. If even this chance of inheritance was lost, they might be left with a path to annihilation. They were reluctant to be annihilated, so reluctant for the entire clan to disappear during this reincarnation era. They struggled. They fought. For this, they would do everything and anything, even if it meant bullying and insulting Wolfang right from the very beginning. Even if it meant attacking him rampantly so as to affect his progress. But fate had made a mockery out of them. The scene before them clearly showed them that the Wolfang had already passed the third bottleneck. There were 4 bottlenecks, and if one managed to break through the 4th bottleneck, the inheritance could be claimed right away. There was no further need for competition. One who had obtained the inheritance at the 3rd bottleneck would take the identity of a core candidate. Compared to him, the rest were merely peripheral candidates who had passed the 1st bottleneck. The possibility that they would obtain the inheritance was almost negligible. Milky Way. A streak of white light appeared in midair, then transformed into the dazzling form of Wandong River, clothed in white, elegant armor. At that moment, Wandong River was no longer cold and aloof. On the contrary, he was dazzling. A year just passed. Wandong River closed his eyes, but tears were already falling. There was only silence. Every great being present raised his head to look at Wandong River. Only 1 year has passed. Guangdong River said softly with a sigh. Even though time velocity was accelerated within the miniature universe, it was, nonetheless, only limited to 10,000 times. Yet you have managed to break through the third bottleneck. Never in my wildest dreams. On this road to desperation, after being forced to abandonment and finding myself on this road to desperation, I am still able to finally find a descendant like you. What? The expressions of every clan, every great being present, changed drastically. Could it be that Guangdong River wanted to give Luo Feng the inheritance straight away? This would not do. I have done wrong to generations of ancestors. Guangdong River shut his eyes as his body trembled. The look of anguish dominated his face as he slowly opened his eyes and looked at Luo Feng. I have done them wrong. It was me who sent all of it Guangdong River's pulse of bloodline falling into extermination. The pulse of Guangdong River, which was incomparably noble and powerful, with countless eras of glory and fame, who once stood most dazzlingly on the apex of the world. But I have brought my pulse of bloodline into the ultimate severance. I am a sinner. But I had no choice. Guangdong River looked at Luo Feng. You're apt to comprehend, and you are almost my equal in terms of ability. No matter what, at least for this generation of inheritance, I am able to find an heir who does not pale in comparison to me. You, in only one era, have broken through the third bottleneck. He gazed at Luo Feng. Congratulations, Milky Way. Luo Feng held his breath. If you can move on to reach the fourth bottleneck. Guangdong River's gaze swept over the crowd. They, one by one, will be eliminated and annihilated in celebration of your claim of the inheritance. Close to 10,000 great beings present were shocked. One by one, they would be annihilated? Previously, did Guangdong River not say that so long as they met the requirements, they could continue? Now, it seemed that Guangdong River was obviously not an honest man. Once he found his heir, the other candidates would be rendered useless. For 3 eras. Guangdong River looked at Luo Feng. This time, the time taken to comprehend the Rhinoceros Emperor game was a total of 3 eras. Within these 3 eras, if you can break through to reach the fourth bottleneck, then even if I were to die, I would feel no shame toward generations of ancestors. Remember. Within 3 eras. As Guangdong River said his last line, his figure diminished and vanished. The entire corridor fell into silence again. Countless great beings looked toward Luo Feng. In their eyes was jealousy, insanity, admiration, shock, malice, hatred. For 3 eras? Is that it? Luo Feng shut his eyes and continued to put his full efforts into comprehending the Rhinoceros Emperor game. Year after year, time passed. Every few thousand years within the corridor, there would be one great being who managed to pass the second bottleneck after much difficulty. As for breaking through the first bottleneck, that was no longer in the picture. Apparently, a great number of undying godly souls and universe knights who were unable to achieve the breakthrough had reached their limits. They would not be able to achieve that breakthrough regardless of how much time they were given. Blue Blood Universe Knight. Only second to Luo Feng when he passed the second bottleneck. Water Song Master. He was ranked third. Dear Bug Master. His outburst was what Purple Moon Holy Land was secretly looking forward to. Remote Snow. The only undrying. Yuzan Master. East Emperor Holy Land's only hope. Sorcerer Sprite Master. She had unexpectedly broken through the second bottleneck, which was indeed a great surprise, as the Divine Eye clan had not expected her to be able to achieve the breakthrough with the deadline of 3 eras drawing close. It was indeed an unexpected surprise. The whole Divine Eye clan was so emotional that most were close to tears. Sorcerer Sprite Master, a lady, had accidentally become the greatest hope of their clan. Time flew by. 28,000 years, 28,500 years, 29,000 years. The final boundary of the 3 years timeline was drawing near. Everyone was anxious, all feeling worried. They were worried that Luo Feng might really achieve a breakthrough and pass the fourth bottleneck. He won't make it. He definitely won't make it. If he did, then all hope would be lost. No more hope. He can't. I would rather die. I would rather Luo Feng be annihilated so that my clan has hope. The last glimmer of hope. Do not cut off my clan's last bit of hope. One by one, they were secretly praying. There were even universe masters who went crazy and tried to attack the Wolfang. As a result, the tricolored palace merely gave a brief tremor, and they were immediately annihilated, reduced to dust. In the virtual universe, the man in the white robe looked toward the Wolfang. He was truly taken aback. The Wolfang was improving at a terrifying rate. Throughout the decoding process of Rhinoceros Emperor game, he had seen the Wolfang's speed getting faster and faster. His ability to comprehend was continuously on the rise, and his aptitude was also progressing at a terrifying rate. The Wolfang was like a piece of scrap metal evolving into an extremely fine piece of steel. He found it unbelievable. The evolution of a great being could be that fast, especially towards the final stage, when the Wolfang was decoding stage after stage without a break, like the reincarnation of a phoenix upon its death. There was no stopping him. The Wolfang's ability to comprehend alarmed teacher origin. Previously, he had only cultivated for a short period of time, Muse teacher origin, and this time around, studying for 30,000 years under an acceleration of 10,000 times time velocity, which makes it 30,000 diras. Is it because time is ample this time around? No. The past generations had seen many great beings cultivating for endless years, but the situation had never become so extreme before. Could it be that the pulse of Earthlings originally possessed something unique within their souls? And Wolfang happens to be the most dazzling one of them all? Teacher Origin thought it through. The pulse on Earth was a very special one, as its state of mind was equipped with an extremely strong willpower. Once there was comprehension achieved, breakthrough would be fast. Sitting Mountain Guest remodeled Earth, thus bringing about changes to a portion of my human race. This portion of humans now constitutes the pulse of Earthlings. With a frown, Teacher Origin thought, throughout the primal universe, or even throughout the entire universe ocean. What I have yet to gain a thorough look of, other than the ancestors of the two holy lands who have yet to show themselves within the universe ocean, is this Sitting Mountain Guest. Sitting Mountain Guest. What plans did he have? Everything about Wolfang is related to him. Previously, he took Flame Emperor under his wing, and later, there was also Putti. Teacher Origin pondered. He was the creator of the virtual universe. The virtual universe enveloped the entire primal universe. It was magical. It was not as simple as it seemed on the surface. Teacher Origin knew many secrets and mysteries, but there were still many that he could not wrap his mind around. Sitting Mountain Guest was one person he could not fathom. The Wolfang was completely immersed in the world filled with Rhinoceros Emperor game and secret techniques. He had started out studying the Rhinoceros Emperor game as an amateur, but with the passing of time, by honing of willpower, his ability to comprehend was fundamentally improved through all the studying he was engaged in. For various reasons, he was addicted. Now, he was obsessed with studying the Rhinoceros Emperor game. The instantaneous interpretation, comprehension, and decoding from a million different perspectives. The exhilaration he got, as though he had figured out the secrets of the universe. As for his potential, under such a honing process, he was like a piece of jade gradually starting to radiate its brilliance. The 3890th stage. The Wolfang stopped for a breather and a sense of time. With a slight frown, he lamented, the time limit of 3 years is drawing near. Am I able to make it in time? However. So, what if I cannot make it in time? The Rhinoceros Emperor game benefits me greatly. Even if I were to really come in contact with the inheritance, I have full confidence that I will be able to seize it. The Wolfang had a confidence that came from within. After close to 3 years of honing, he had already brought both of his willpower, and that comprehension that was so difficult to detect, to an extremely intimidating level. East Emperor Holy Land's blue blood has broken through the third bottleneck. Similarly, countless cyan light spots rained down to create an incomparably dazzling scene. Wandong River made his appearance? An heir of mine. I'm afraid, only you are able to fight with Milky Way now. The other candidates. Unless they undergo repeated evolutions. Wandong River looked at Blue Blood Knight and encouraged. Keep working hard. Do not concede defeat so easily. Yes. Blue Blood Knight was deferential. He looked toward the Wolfang with an intimidating light in his eyes. That was absolute insanity? He was fighting on. Fighting on. The one and only chance of endless time had come. He was grasping onto it with his life. He would hold a tight rein over himself and give it his all? He was burning with passion. Before the limit of 3 years arrived, he finally decoded the 3000th stage. Blue blood? Luo Feng took one look at Blue Blood Knight. He wants to fight me? The 3 years finally came to an end. In the end, Luo Feng only managed to decode up to the 3911th stage. This was already an amazing feat. After all, he had spent slightly more than 1 era to finally break through the third bottleneck. With just 2 eras, it would be too difficult to break through the fourth bottleneck. Wandong River looked down at everyone and slowly announced. At the end of 3 eras, the selection through Rhinoceros Emperor game ends. 292 achieved a breakthrough of the first bottleneck. 5 achieved a breakthrough of the second bottleneck. 2 achieved a breakthrough of the third bottleneck. The great beings beneath Wandong River started shouting. We all arrived later than Milky Way and Company. We should be giving more time. True, to give us more time. Indeed, there were many who had arrived later than the Wofeng by half a year or even 1 to 2 years. Wandong River looked down and said coldly, even giving you all another era, I'm afraid none of you would have passed the first bottleneck. Even if you managed to pass the first bottleneck, what use would I have for you all? This inheritance, Milky Way and Blue Blood are the most important. The other 5 who passed the second bottleneck are, theoretically, still possible candidates. The rest of you are merely here to make up the number. As for all of you here, you did not even make it past the first bottleneck. According to the rules, all of you shall die. Wandong River made a wave. Golden light rays burst out from the numerous crystal pillars within the life and death corridor. That golden light could give rise to a palace. It could also be used to attack. Countless light spots attacked the great beings. In the blink of an eye, close to 10,000 great beings who were present were annihilated, reduced to dust. In the end, only near to 300 survived. The survivors, although taken aback by how powerful that force was, were all filled with anticipation. Rhinoceros Emperor game had finally come to an end. The next step would be to start getting in contact with the inheritance. This was the legendary inheritance from the pulse of Wandong River. The rest of you shall continue advancing. Upon reaching the next hall, you may start receiving the inheritance. Wandong River looked at Luo Feng and the other 299 candidates, then pointed to somewhere far away. A loud rumble sounded, and the faraway floodgate that was originally shut started to rise. Even from where Luo Feng stood, he could faintly see the hall at the other end. Go on. Wandong River transformed into a streak of light, and with a flash, he arrived at the faraway hall. Luo Feng, Blue Blood Knight, Deer Bug Master, Sorcerer Sprite Master, Water Song Master, Remote Snow, Yuzan Master, and the 7 Universe Supreme Masters, as well as a large group of candidates who managed to pass the first bottleneck, all flew toward the next hall. Virtual Universe. Numerous stone pillars with their 3-dimensional virtual shadows could be found. Luo Feng was seated cross-legged, but he had already stopped comprehending. Because he was about to start getting in contact with the inheritance, he did not dare get distracted. The 3 great eras. The man in white robes stood before a stone pillar. With a smile, he nodded. At least I made it before the 3 great eras, I shall stop my decoding here. The 6,002nd stage. The man in white robes laughed lightly and shook his head.